So I'm just going to jump into a mix now. There's not a lot to do once I have my balance. So I'll just try and juice it up in a few spots. Serena's over here. It says 37A. I'm over here on 44. Nick's here. And then drums are in, these two blue ones are the drums. I'm not going to touch the bass drum and the bass guitar because that's sacred ground. So we don't want to be messing with the bottom. Okay. So the bottom of the record is the rock of the record, and it's the part that you really want to get right, because if you have your foundation, then everything that sits on top will be more musical. So I've always paid a lot of attention to the bass end of things. I've kind of lived through every aspect of record making. You know, when I first started, it was just a two-track. In fact, I used to record one track. I used to record something on the left channel, bounce it to the right channel while adding an overdub, and back to the first channel. So it was just this kind of little piggyback technique. And you would think, oh, that sounds like a terrible restriction. But in fact, what was happening is every time the transfer happened, the original sounds lost a little bit of their fidelity. So high frequencies would disappear, and your newly recorded components would be more up front. And that turned into a self-mixing system. So not everything was bright and on the same plane. I find there's one thing that's never gone out of fashion and never changed much, which is really the setup of the room. The instruments and the microphones, that hasn't changed a lot. How you program them or allocate them, that's the difference. So there are definitely more options that wait for a decision on mixing day. Well, it's an interesting dynamic, that of being well fed and feeling that you have enough nutrition in you now to deliver the goods. And I think the feeding ground can be many things. And I know that live performance provides me with a certain kind of fuel that then allows me to go into the studio, that allows me to help people in the studio environment. And then in return, I get energized by the people that I'm with, and it's this great cycle of energy. And I see it as all being connected. So if I was just in the studio, I don't think I would do as good a job as if I've come off the road and then into the studio, because then I have a full understanding of the road communication, and live music is still, the commodity that will always exist. I used to think that there was a sound that belonged to me, perhaps when I was more fascinated with atmospherics and textures. I still love that part of my paint box, of course, but I find that my taste has evolved. I currently like things to be drier, to be riff-based, as is the case, in this little recording today of Here's What Is. The ice falls on me, but I feel no cold. Ding-ding-ding, that little ding-ding-ding. It's like a punctuation at the end of the lyric line. It was kind of like paying respect to what the lyric's delivering, but at the same time having a little sonic identity that sort of makes it cohesive. So my sound is always evolving, but what has never changed for me is I've always served the vocal. I've always served the vocal melody, and I still do. I've been interested in drums since I was a kid, and I like to keep a bunch of different kits around, different nice sounding snare drums. So here we've got the drums with 3 mics, 67 reissue that I got in England in the early 90s. RCA 44, that's a ribbon mic from the 50s, 40s, 50s. It's got a lot of nice bottom. And then an AKG D12 on the bass drum. So just 3 mics. I've had a nice time with my fellow drummers, because they get to come to my place and see that I've handpicked some nice drums, as was the case today. Al played my 60s brown badge Gretsch, kind of swirly psychedelic finish on them, and a nice old Black Beauty snare drum. Handpicked cymbals, nice little set of hi-hats.
Just to be clear, this is called live off the floor recording.
Yeah,
Is that the idea?
Yeah, exactly. Everything has happened just live. Serena's singing in a mic that I got from the old Massey Hall in Toronto when they were refurbishing the place in the 70s. I bought this mic from them, and I've been using this one. Use this one on Bob Dylan, Emmylou Harris, and now Serena. So it has a couple of extra feathers in his cap.
Yeah, it's a legacy.
Nick and I are just playing in Fender amps. Nick's playing in a Deluxe, 1959 Fender Deluxe. And then I'm playing in a similar one over here. This is the Harvard, which is its little brother. I'm playing a gold Firebird, early 60s, and Nick is playing my old 56 full top Les Paul. The bass, we're going DI, but we had an amp set up just for monitoring convenience. So that's kind of it. I instructed the band to keep their volume down so that they could hear the singers, which means then you're doing a natural blend and you're not relying on somebody else to come up with a blend for you. So.
Too long in the dark.
You can pick up an instrument and you can be an expressionist even if you have not gone to school. Okay. And expression belongs to anybody. I think heart and soul is probably what's most important, at the center of the matter. And especially within an education system that we've sort of been brought up in, we are led to believe that if you're interested in a subject matter, then you should study. But in fact, passion is probably your greatest teacher, because even as a kid, if you're passionate about something, you can learn how to do it through books, asking friends, listening to records, whatever you're interested in, which was the case with me. I never knew anything about recording, and nobody wanted to give me a job. So I just started my own little studio in my basement. So just in support of what Ian was saying, if you have a dream, then why not live it?